Algebra Review Part 1. In this review, we're going to talk about how to graph linear functions. So linear functions come in lots of forms. The most notable is slope-intercept form. That's usually the easiest way to graph, and we'll talk about how to graph in that form. There's also the general form, where you have x and y on the same side. And we'll talk about how to graph that in different ways. There's horizontal and vertical lines. So when you only have one variable, like in this case y equals b, that's going to be a horizontal line. And when you only have an x variable, x equals a, that's a vertical line. So we'll talk about all these in this review. So first, let's talk about method 1 of graphing an equation, a linear equation, or actually any equation. And that's you construct the table of values. So we're going to do an example here. I have a little table. Here's my equation, y equals negative 2x minus 3. And then we're going to plug in any 3 points. I'll start off with negative 1, 0, 1. And all we're going to do here is we're going to let that be our x values. And in this equation, we're going to substitute it in for our x. So we're going to plug these points in here for our x here. So we're going to substitute it in. So it looks like this. Y equals negative 2. And instead of x, we're going to substitute in negative 1. And then minus 3. So all we have to do now is simplify. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So we're going to have a point. X is negative 1. And the y we found is also negative 1. So negative 1 and negative 1. On here, right, here's my x, here's my y. So we're going to go to the x first. So negative 1, the x is right here. And we're going to go down 1 to get the point negative 1, negative 1. So that's our first point. Then we're going to do the same thing with 0. So we're substituting, so y equals negative 2. Right, that's our function equation. And wherever the x is, we're going to substitute in 0. There's a 0 right there. Well, 0 times anything is 0. So we get 0 minus 3, which is negative 3. So here, our y is negative 3 and our x is 0. So we just put the x first. So 0, negative 3 is our next point. So on this graph here, we're going to go 0, negative 3. So right here. Right, 0 on our x, so we're just right here in the middle. And then on our y, we go down to negative 3. Next one is 1. So y equals negative 2 times 1 minus 3. Right, we're just going to substitute the 1 in for our x in here. Then we just simplify it. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 minus 3. So notice they're both negative. Anytime you're adding or subtracting, they're both the same sign. You just get bigger. So negative 2 minus 3, they're the same sign. I just get negative 5. So there's my point is 1 and negative 5. So 1, negative 5 is right there. Right, 1 of my x, negative 5 of my y, and that's the point. And now all we have to do is connect the points. And then we have graph this by using the table of values. So that's the table of values. It works for any type of graph. So linear, nonlinear, doesn't matter. If you do a table of values, it always works. It's just kind of long. So usually we do an easier method. So another method we could do is find the x and y intercepts. This is another method that always works. So we're going to find the x and y intercepts. X and y intercepts are where you cross the x-axis and the y-axis. Like up here, if I look at it, just to point them out, here was my x-intercept. That looks like it's about negative 1.5. My x-intercept, x equals negative 1.5, I should say. Or you could say negative 1.5 and 0. And then my y-intercept was down here where you cross the y. So this would be the y-intercept. 0 and negative 3. So one way to do this is just find the x and y intercepts and connect those 2 points. So that's our next method. Is how do you find the x and y intercept? So it's a little funky. If you look up here, back up here, sorry, my y-intercept has the x value be negative, and my x-intercept has the y value be negative, right? Because you want to see where you cross the x, that means the y is 0. You want to see where you cross the y, that means the x is 0. So that, keep that in mind. That's always true for x and y intercepts. So if you want to find the x-intercept, like right here, you're going to let y equal 0. And if you want to find the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0. So let's do it for this problem right here. So I'm going to find the x-intercept. We're going to let y equal 0. So we're going to go into our equation. We're going to substitute 0 in for y. So it looks like this. Negative 2x plus 4 times 0 equals 8. So then I get negative 2x plus 0 equals 8. Negative 2x equals 8. Right? 0 just goes away because 18 plus 0 is 0. Divide by negative 2. So I get x equals negative 4. So my point there is negative 4 and 0. So that's my x-intercept. So on the x, you can go to negative 4. That's my first point. So that's our x-intercept. Now let's find the y-intercept. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to plug in 0 for our x. So we're going to go back to our equation, and then we're going to plug in 0 for our x there. So it's going to be negative 2 times 0 plus 4y equals 8. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, so you get 0 plus 4y equals 8. That goes away, so you get 4y equals 8. Divide by 4, and we get y equals 2. So our point there is 0, 2, right? X always goes first, and our x equals 0, and then 2. Or we can just go, where does y equal 2 at? Go to your graph. Here's my y. There's 2. And now we have our x and y intercepts, and just connect them. And there's our graph using x and y intercepts. Right, a little easier, a lot less points. It's got to find 2 of them. I do have to solve them both, but that's how you use it. That's how you graph by finding x and y intercepts. Okay, the next way, slope-intercept form. Now, this is generally the fastest way if you already have something in slope-intercept form. So if you have something in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So the idea is the b. So let's rewrite it here. Y equals mx plus b. The b is your y-intercept. There you go. So 0b is your first point. It's like it says here. Right, so we're going to plot the y-intercept. So the first things to do. I guess actually the first thing you do is you have to put it in slope-intercept form. It's not already in there. But after that, plot your y-intercept. And then we have the slope here. So slope is the m. So this m is your slope. And the general rule with slope is that we want to make it over a fraction, m over 1. If it's already a fraction, you leave it as a fraction. If it's not, you put over 1. And m is up and down. So top is up and down. Plus you go up, negative you go down. And we're always going to go to the right. So if it's a fraction, positive, you go up, and then you go to the right. If it's negative, you go down, and then you go to the right. So we always go to the right. It just makes it easier. And once you have your couple points, you draw a line through, and that's your graph. So we're going to do that here. Right, so this is a range slope-intercept form. So I'm just going to point out my 2 things, right? This is my b. The thing that's by the constant term thing without the x is your b, your y-intercept. So it's negative 3. That's my y-intercept. So again, you can either put in point 0, negative 3, or you can just go, where does y equal negative 3 at? So here's my y, negative 3 is down here. Next, we're going to do the slope. Slope in this case is negative 2. I'm going to make it a fraction, negative 2 over 1. Like that. So again, notice it's a negative. I don't care if the negative is here or here, it doesn't matter. If it's a negative, you're going to go down, and then we're going to go right. We always go right. So starting from the point we had, start from this point, we're going to go down 2 and right 1. So we're going to go down 2 and right 1. If you want, you can do it again just to make a nicer graph. Go down 2, right 1, and then you can connect them. Hopefully a better line than mine is. That's a bad line. Let's do that again. Something like that. And that's our graph. So that's graphing using slope-intercept form. So we're gonna let's do the same thing with this one. We want to graph using slope-intercept form. Now the thing here is it's not in slope-intercept form, so we got to put it in slope-intercept form first. Remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we have to get the y by itself. So if I want that, I'm going to get rid of this 2x here. So we're subtract 2x from both sides. And here's my equal sign. These cancel out. I get 5y. I cannot do anything to 10 and 2x. They're not the same, right? The one's the next, one's not. So we're going to keep them separate. I'm going to put the 2x in front. So the 2x plus 10. And now I got to get rid of the 5. So we're going to divide everything by 5. So you got to divide this by 5, that by 5, and that by 5. So you get y equals negative 2x over 5 plus, right, since I can't do anything, so I'm going to leave it. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So now it's the slope-intercept form. We have our y-intercept right here. My y-intercept. So 0, 2. So that's my first point. And then we have our slope right here. Again, we have a negative slope. But this time it's a fraction already, so I'm just going to leave it. Oops, sorry, there we go. So we're going to go down 2 again, and we're going to go right 5. So from our point, we're going to go down 2 and right 5. So like right there. This time I can do 2 of them. I can connect those 2. And there's my graph. So that's how you graph using slope-intercept form, right? You have to put in slope-intercept form first, and once you have it in this form, the m, the thing next to your x, the coefficient of the x, is your slope, and the constant term, the thing that has no x, is your y-intercept. So you always start at the y-intercept, and then from that point, you'd move your slope. Okay. And by the way, if I was asking you what the y-intercept, in this case, we actually got the y-intercept and the x-intercept. Right, here's my y-intercept at 2, my x-intercept at 5. Over here, my x-intercept is like maybe -2 if I did it nicely, and then my y-intercept is -3. Okay, last thing, how to graph horizontal lines. These are easier than they look. All you have to do is follow the tally mark. So y equals 4, where does y equal 4 at? So here's y, go to 4. Right, what you normally do is you throw little tally marks, you're just going to follow that line. So that's my y equals 4 line, like that. Y equals 4. So go to 4 and follow the tally mark. There you go. One last one. Graph 4x plus 12 equals 0. So first I gotta get x by itself because there's only one variable. So let's solve for x. So let's subtract the 12. I do to both sides. So I get 4x equals -12. Divide by 4. X equals -3. So same idea. We're gonna go, here's my x. Go to -3. And you would follow the tally mark, right? Normally we draw the tick marks, it goes like that. So we're gonna follow that mark. Hopefully better than me. So that's x equals -3. That's an ugly line. Anyway, that's our review of graphing.